Tell the Truth Monday on The Hoffman Show.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
Call us now at 301-230-0980 to tell the truth about the Commanders.
You can't handle the truth!
Or hit the comment section at the Team 980 on YouTube.
All right, let's get started with some calls. Let's get started with Reggie in D.C. Reggie, thanks for calling. You are on The Hoffman Show. What's your truth coming out of this Commanders' loss to the Ravens?
Craig, you know what, man? Let me be honest with you. I was jilted when Ben Johnson didn't get off the plane and talk to us, right? And I'm like, man, like a retread. And you know what? Second, we got the second choice, or this is the quote. Like in my mind, this is a backup. This is a fallback plan. Man, I'm sick about this. Fast forward, looking the way we played against the best. Some people are calling this the best team in the NFL. I have to be truthful, man. I have never been this excited about the Skins since '91. And I go back in the days with my boys. I'm with the celebration with Mosley and Rippin, and I mean just going back. I cannot be. We played a heck of a game against one of the better. Again, it's no moral victories, but from a fan, I just wanted to see how we measure up, because every time as a fan you wear your rose-colored glasses. We played Miami last year, we got blown out. We played against Buffalo, we get blew out. San Francisco, it's not competitive. Dallas, it's not competitive. Every time we've matched up against an elite, or air quote, elite playoff caliber team, we get embarrassed. Now with Dan Quinn, it seems like, and I don't know whether or not you're a little bit more close than me looking at it as a fan, but as a fan, it appears like this team is taking on his personality, where we're gonna fight, we're gonna scratch, we're gonna claw. So I feel like, telling the truth, I have to literally almost apologize to the fan and me for doubting Quinn and saying that. Because, you watched Ben Johnson yesterday with Detroit. You like, man, he looked real kind of sexy.
He's real good at his job.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Yes, but we look good with Cliff, though. You can't
for sure.
Cliff.
For sure.
Yeah,
and that's
so
the thing, Reggie, I'm going to let you run. I appreciate the call a ton. I think
buddy.
that it's a great call. We got a lot of folks to get to. Multiple people can be good at the job. Like, Ben Johnson might still be a great head coach. He might have been great here. I think Dan Quinn is the perfect guy to partner with Adam Peters. And I'll tell you this, one thing that I want to point out real quick, and then we'll get back to the phones, is the future is so bright if Peters is really this good. Because some of the best players on this team, and some of the best players the players that embody the stuff that helps you win the most, both from a skill and a mentality standpoint, are the rookies. And Jayden is the obvious easy one. Johnny Newton's got a long way to go to be a all-pro defensive tackle, but I have literally never seen a defensive tackle hustle like that dude. And by the way, I had someone tell me, one of the veteran linemen who'd been around playing for other teams, tell me that through all the years of him playing, all the years of him practicing, including against some really, really good defensive tackles, he had never played against someone who played in practice as hard as John Allen. And I'm telling you that watching the tape, Allen compared to Newton, dog. Again, Allen's a better player right now. Newton, in 5 years, what he can become with this kind of work ethic, oh my God. Sainer still, obviously, just tremendous growth week over week. Competitiveness. Luke getting, some of the stuff that he does that's super subtle, that once they understand the NFL game and have more experience and they're a little more veteran, and they obviously will have other rookies underneath them that are continuing to push their level, and this team is going to eventually be built of all Adam Peters draft picks pretty much. Man, the future is really bright. Nevertheless, what they're actually able to do right now, where they can go toe-to-toe or against a team like Baltimore. 301-230-0980. It's a Tell the Truth Monday, so you tell us what you think about the Commanders after yesterday's game. In this case, a 30-23 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go to Marvin in Landover. Marvin, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Mr. Hoffman. It's been a while.
You've got it, Marvin.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'm encouraged, but I'm also really still angry about the game itself. You said in the first segment, Benjamin St. Juste was asked to do the impossible, which was basically stand up to like a smaller, quicker wide receiver. And then they never got home with any of the blitzes. It was like they blitzed, but Baltimore kind of saw them coming, and they never even got closer to hitting the quarterback all day. So he had 3 seconds, 4 seconds for deep crossing routes. And it was just like, that's a terrible, terrible thing that they put St. Juste through. I thought he played really well, so I'm right there with you with that. But I do know the truth is their defense is definitely still a work in progress. You were absolutely right. About 2 months ago, I talked to you, and you said that it was going to take more than 1 year. And I was with you with that. Boy, it's going to take more than 1 year is the truth. They are, and every Ron Rivera pick, oh, my God, what did we do? Everything terrible. So we're really lost because you needed a corner who could cover, no corner. You needed a pass rusher who could hit the quarterback, no pass rusher. They were missing everywhere. Wide receiver would have been nice, but I think their offense still was really good. Cliff Kingsbury would have been better with Washington than Ben Johnson. He understands the mobile quarterback a little better. I don't know if Ben Johnson really understands it. Sometimes it's the message, not the messenger. And the messenger, not the message. And the messenger right now, Cliff Kingsbury, understands how to use Jayden better than I think Ben Johnson would have. So I'm still encouraged. I think we're maybe 11-win team this year. Maybe. I say that really hesitantly because I was thinking this is a build year. But they could probably get to 10 or 11 wins. So that's a playoff team. I think we hung with a really tough squad. I think we got jerked on a bunch of calls yesterday. You mentioned it, the St. Juste second one, which was in the third quarter, which was just awful. That was awful.
Yeah, it was really bad. There was a couple others that I had down that I was like, There's a one that I haven't watched the second half back on the All-22 yet, but I have one marked from the game copy or the TV copy that Noah Brown, I thought, got yanked on one that they didn't call. So there's a bunch of stuff. But Marvin, appreciate the call. And yeah, I mean, I think that they've gotten a lot of stuff right. And, like, that's really encouraging. But at the end of the day, some of the gaps are the ones where they just, like, we can't do everything in 1 year. And we're going to take some flyers on some of these guys that contractually it makes sense to keep around. And some of them have panned out. Some of them haven't. I mean, Quan Martin's been good. He had some moments yesterday, I think. But he's largely been fantastic. He was their second-round pick last year. Like, that's Big Phil, I think, has had a pretty solid year. He's playing pretty consistent ball the last couple of weeks. Like, there's a lot. There are some guys around that they have been able to kind of pull out of the trenches. Just can't save everyone. Which is why they'll eventually replace them. But the reality is that they're doing, I think, they've gotten the compete level so high that they're giving themselves a chance week in and week out. All right, let's go to Gary in Upper Marlboro. Gary, you're our resident optimist. So what's your truth on this Monday?
I agree with just about everything you said, Craig.
I feel like there's a butt coming, Gary, or an accept. Which one is it going to be?
Oh, there's a big butt coming.
Okay.
And I complained on your show before about St. Juste. I think that those calls were ticky-tack yesterday. I give you that. Mm-hmm. But to say it's not his fault and you don't blame him for not being able to cover a guy, I mean, come on, this is professional football. All right? He needs, and this is something that he's done consistently. He gives up chunk yards like nobody's business. This is what his MO has been. When you get closer to the goal line, okay, or it's 3rd and 5 or something like that, he can jam and he can be good under those circumstances. But in the middle of the field, he's horrible. And the stats show that. I mean, I don't think guys should be killing him today. But I think it's a lot of St. Juste, misery. It's not just yesterday, but it's what we've seen with this guy over the course of his career.
Totally fair.
And
understood.
I don't think he's a number one corner. Be honest with you, I don't think he's a number 2 corner.
See, that's where I disagree, Gary. I promise I'll let you keep going in a second. But here's what I mean when I say it's not his fault. This is a guy who, at best, is a number 2 corner. Like, we can agree on that. Yeah, he's somewhere, like, is he the number 1, number 2 corner in the league? No. Is he a number 2 corner? At least maybe. But he's being asked to be a number 1. And some of the specific stuff he got beat on yesterday, like he's having it's one thing to have to cover a shallow cross when you have to run with the guy for 5 yards. Chasing Zay Flowers 25 yards across the field because your blitzes don't get home, there's very few corners in the entire league that can do that. And that's where some of the stuff where they gave up some of this chunk yardage yesterday that was on him. I thought there were bigger issues in the secondary yesterday. And people are going to point the blame at St. Juice because those 2 PI calls were so impactful in the game. But if you agree that there were bad calls, okay, well, let's take those off the board. What are the next biggest problems in the secondary? I would tell you the coverage of the linebacker yesterday gave a ton to be desired, and some of the big space, like that completion of Bateman in the middle of the field where there's no one within 15 yards of him. Part of that is because the linebackers are caught up in no man's land off a play action fake. Part of that is the safeties are their eyes are getting distracted. So I thought there was a lot bigger problems in the secondary yesterday than St. Juice if you take away those calls, which I personally do because I didn't think they were good calls.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that argument, and you're right. There was a lot more going on in St. Just, but I think a lot of fans are just tired of seeing the same thing with him. I mean, he gives up chunk plays again, like last year. That's his MO. He gives up a lot of chunk plays. But I agree with you on the GM. I was not big on Austin Eckler. I was not big on Zach Ertz, and I was completely wrong. I thought Ertz was washed up. I thought Eckler was washed up. But these guys are playing at a level that they played at when they were top of the league. It's really good. I think Adam Peters gets an A+ for everything that he's done up to this point. And you're right, you can't fix everything this year. And Jonathan Allen, I do agree with you. I think he's played his last game with Washington. I think they need to move on from him and use that contract, that money for something else. But you have to be encouraged with the Commanders up to this point. I had them winning 5 games coming into this season. I think you said 8 or 9. I think you're right. These guys are playing a heck of a lot better than I thought. Now, they haven't beaten any world beaters yet. I think the teams that they played have been, their records are not good, but they passed the eye test. And so I think you have to be optimistic at this point.
100%, Gary.
Taking my call.
Yeah, you got it, Gary. Always good to chat with you, even when we spar a little bit. I think the thing too about where Washington is, and you look, they haven't beaten any great teams. Like, we'll see what Cincinnati is. Obviously, they beat the Giants last night. Their offense looks really good. I mean, their defense looked good last night, but they're also facing the Giants. But I think Cincinnati could still pull themselves into the wild card picture. They obviously lost the 2 best teams they played. Week 1 was a rookie debut for Jayden. And then they competed with Baltimore. But, man, I was doing some stuff earlier today prepping for next week and doing our online pick show for next week that I do on Mondays on YouTube. And there's a lot of bad football teams. And the Commanders are definitively not one of them. Like, a lot of the league is the teams that they beat during the 4-game winning streak. It's a weird year in the NFL. Some of it is injury adjacent. Some of it is coaching and teams being kind of stuck in limbo. Some of it is like talented teams like the Eagles that just have their head somewhere up their own behinds. There's some good quarterbacks with really bad supporting casts like in Dallas. Like, Dak's a good player. I don't know what they've done with their roster. Like, their roster's a nightmare. So there is a lot of bad football teams that I do think Washington is in a great spot because I definitively don't think they're a bad football team. Like, if you don't play in the NFC North, you're kind of all right in every other division in the league. It's a weird year. The last thing that I'll say quickly about St. Juice is that if they could get some of the pass rush and some of the other stuff figured out, I think that they would be in a lot better shape on that. And I think that Baltimore deserves a lot of credit because I think they were not uniquely, but they're one of these teams that has some stuff figured out on the offensive line and some of the pass rush pressures and some of the calls they make. Like, you just kind of have to make some choices. Like, we're either going to dedicate the resources to the run or they're going to run on us. We're going to dedicate the resources to the run. Okay, well, that means you're one-on-one on the back end and you better get home on your blitzes. And Washington couldn't do that yesterday. It let St. Juice out to dry. It wasn't like he was losing instantly. It wasn't like he was losing by 15, 20 yards. No, he's getting beat by 2 yards. And in the NFL, that's open. Hopefully he can continue to do better. But I think that, I don't want to overstate it. I would say the other last thing about St. Juice, this is actually something I really wanted to point out from Gary's call. And it's on one hand, it's semantics, but on the other hand, it's really important. I understand the building frustration that a lot of the results feel similar, where last year it's like this dude gives up chunk yards all the time. In the beginning of this year, he gave up some really big chunk plays that were his fault 100%. And I was like, man, is this just always how it's going to be with him, where he's in position and can't make a play? The last 5 weeks, really the last 4 weeks, but the last 5 weeks even after that Tampa game, he has made corrections. He is playing significantly better football. And that yesterday, yes, he gives up some chunk plays, but a lot of that is like, hey, it's a deep comeback and you have no safety help and you have to guard against the go route. And the reason you're in one-on-one coverage guarding against the go route is because you are praying that your pass rush gets home. And if there's enough time to get the comeback off, if a dude has time to run 20 yards downfield, break off his route, and break back to the ball, that's a pass rush loss. But what you can't do is give up the fade ball where if the pass rush gets home and they just loft one up and the receiver runs underneath it. So there's things like that I realize are more nuanced. It's not what you want to hear. It's not very sexy. It's not very fun. But he is, it's not the same. He is playing significantly better football, and at times he's playing better football against players that are still better than him, and the teammates around him and the infrastructure around him is failing him, and thus he's still giving up chunk plays. But he is not just he's not freaking Santa Clausing chunk plays in the way that he did the last couple of years. Other teams are at least having to earn it, and that's what you want, is at least the competition level to be high, and he's got that, and the technique to be correct. He's got that. And now, hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, because he still is a young player, like he's still in his rookie contract in his third year in the league, maybe he can get even better. Maybe he starts making some of these plays. So I'm not selling all my BSJ stock, even though I realized that yesterday a lot of you, you're like, I don't have any left because I sold it last year. And I understand that too.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.